Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us this evening and look forward to a very exciting evening with a great speaker and a lot of information. So I just wanted to give you, my name's John Meadows. I'm the Executive Director for Virtual Scholarship Fairs, and it's a new platform that we just developed this last month or two. It's really designed to help students understand, particularly juniors, understand the journey they're about to go on and how to get the most out of not only finding ways to pay for college, but also how to engage with colleges, what sort of questions to ask, all types of topics, different sources of how to pay for college. And that's really important because that's when it comes down to it, you can get into college, but how are you going to pay for it at the end of the day? So there's a lot of ways of doing it. And every night this week, we started our first program on Monday and had two really good programs that will be that we videotaped and we'll be posting on not only the Infinite Scholars site, but also Virtual Scholarship Fairs site, the one that you use to register for this event. And just a great opportunity to give you additional information. We'll be recording this evening's program and hosting it on not only a Virtual Scholarship Fair in our booth. If you go over to the organizers tab on the virtualscholarshipfairs.org website, then there are three booths there. One of them is for Infinite Scholars, a lot of information and videos posted there. You can also visit the Infinite Scholars website. InfiniteScholar.org is the URL for that. And a lot of information under the resources tab there that the information will be covered this evening in the program, but also we'll be posting the videos there. And then also a booth that's in the Virtual Scholarship Fairs organizers area. We also have more college offers. We'll hear a little bit about that, that exciting online program to help students, again, get in front of over 500 colleges. And then, of course, there's a booth for Virtual Scholarship Fairs with resources that we'll be developing over the year. And this is really designed to be a year-long program where we'll have programs like this throughout the year. We'll have quite a few in the fall. Of course, that's when everybody's serious about scholarships, not only colleges, recruiting seniors or incoming seniors, but also students will be serious and parents will be very serious about how to pay for college. And hopefully the information we'll be sharing with you this week, as well as future programming, will help you understand the different avenues and different resources that are available to help you optimize your opportunities to figure out how to pay for school, at least if not totally debt-free. Large portion of your funds, required funds, will be paid for by other sources. So let's get started. I just wanted to go through a quick review of what the program is this evening. We're going to kind of go through the agenda and technical reminders before we get into the actual programming. I would like to mention that our co-host this evening is Dr. Laura Dorsey. She's Vice President of Mission and Engagement with Infinite Scholars. And you'll hear more about Infinite Scholars not only this evening and other programs we're doing this week, but also throughout the year, because they do a great job as far as connecting students and colleges in a fair environment all over the country. So our today's presenter, we're really honored to have Ken Harris. He's ROTC representative from Florida Tech. Ken will tell you more about things that you didn't even think about. He's quite a resource, and we really appreciate his help and his thoughts and perspective on kids. He's been working with youth for years, and he's got a really good way of presenting and a really great content. So he has a really good program for you this evening. And then we'll also be answering as many chat messages as possible, and periodically throughout the program, we will be trying to answer them as promptly as possible. We will try to answer all chats by the time we leave the program, and hopefully you'll have all your questions answered. So please chime in anytime, and make sure you ask the any questions that might be on your mind that you really want to try to try to get answered this evening, not only about the topic that's discussed, but we have a bank of very knowledgeable people that can help you in a lot of areas. Additional resources available. Dr. Dorsey will come back on then and talk about the litany of resources that are available through Infinite Scholars and on their website, the resources page. So we'll spend some time kind of going through the various resources that are available to you through Infinite Scholars. And we're hopefully promised to keep it within an hour. Been really close to that every night this week. So we hopefully will do the same this evening. A few technical reminders. Please locate the chat icon at the bottom ribbon of your site of your computer. And when you do chat, only the panelists will see your chat. So you don't have to worry about it being broadcast to everybody. It'll just come to the panelists, and the panelists will be able to respond to your question appropriately and the right person assigned to that chat. Try to close all browsers and tabs for best viewing. We don't have any videos, I don't believe, this evening, but if we did, then that would also help with your viewing. I would like to also thank our wonderful person that's helping out with chat, particularly on the ROTC side. Her name is Paige McCormick. Sorry, kind of stuttered there. Paige's been with us for years, and she's helped us with a lot of virtual fairs. She's a real resource, and really appreciate her taking the time this evening to come in and help handle the chat messages, particularly pertaining to the ROTC programs that are available. So I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful co-host, Dr. Laura Dorsey. Again, she's Vice President, Missions and Engagement at Infinite Scholars. Does a great job hosting these fairs and is a great moderator. She's a academic. She's got her PhD, obviously, and she just really does a great job for us. And she's a real great voice for Infinite Scholars. So, Dr. Dorsey, I'd love to turn it over to you and take it from here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. As John says, I'm Laura Dorsey, and I am the Vice President of Mission and Engagement from the Infinite Scholars Program. Infinite Scholars is a nonprofit organization that's about 20 years old, that is based out of St. Louis. And we do one thing, and we do one thing well, and that's we help provide students who are financially looking for resources to be able to go to college. Any type of post-secondary education is what we're encouraging students to be able to do, to look at. So that is our focus. We facilitate scholarship fairs, and scholarship fairs different from a college fair. Scholarship fairs are actually fairs that are really geared toward helping students and their families find scholarships. And we do this in 33 cities across the country, mostly in the Midwest and the Southeast. Of course, we have the military with us a lot of times when we are. There are about 100 colleges and universities that travel with us, not all at the same time, but in the average fair, there's somewhere between 25 and 40 colleges and universities, all providing scholarship information, with us to work to what we're doing. But I am more than excited tonight to be able to announce our guest speaker. Okay, so Ken Harris is the Scholarship and Enrollment Officer for ROTC for Florida Tech. Okay, his topic tonight, he's going to be talking about paying for college through service and working your way through college. Ken and I are good friends. I'm his very favorite person in the whole wide world. Okay, at least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But more so than that, I am the mom, of a retired Army Master Sergeant. Okay, I have to make sure I always get her title. A retired Master Sergeant. She's saying she will tell anyone who ever asks, the best thing she ever did was join in the military and being able to graduate from college, debt free, be able to retire and have a secondary career, all before she, was 40 years old. Okay, so I'm telling you right now, when I first listened to the military presentation, my daughter encouraged me to do it. So I'm encouraging you just like that, just like my daughter encouraged me. Ken Harris is a wealth of information. Okay, please, please, please do not discount what the military can bring to you as far as paying your way through college. So with all of that, my best friend in the whole wide world and my most favorite person, I'll introduce Ken Harris to you.
So good evening. I have one secret to success that I'll share with you all right now, and that is that I am in the presence of greatness. As she mentioned, Laura is one of my favorite people in the world. But I'll tell you, when you've got people like my friend Paige, John Meadows, Laura Dorsey, they're putting the time aside to find resources for people to be able to afford getting an education. These days, there may be a little bit of a conversation about how much the education is worth, but I'll tell you what, knowledge is power. And one way to get that knowledge is to go through college. So tonight I have the pleasure of talking a little bit about paying for college through service and or working your way through college. I represent one facet of that with Army ROTC, in particular for Florida Tech, but I'm going to talk about a lot of other options. So there's a total of 15 slides. I'm going to go through those and just talk about some of the different options you've got. But what I'll end up telling you is if money is your excuse for not going to college, everybody I've worked with in the educational arena has said that there are more people than you would imagine who are willing to find ways to help you succeed in college. So we'll go through these, and I look forward to illustrating some of them for you. Of course, now I have to get the mouse to, there we go. So service. I do represent a federal service in the Army. By the same token, there are many different facets of service that you can do: country, state, community. Basically, the service component tends to be you exchange a commitment, either current work or future work, in order to get some kind of payment for how you're going to further your education. In most cases, they'll help cover the cost of the education. They're typically industry specific. So if you were planning on becoming a teacher, you're probably going to find a way to serve in the community as a teacher. Same with healthcare, but there are many other ones. I've seen people, for example, working in the cyber community that may lead to a college degree and so forth. Okay, now, when you're going to look at this, what you're going to find is there are some of them that will end up paying before you go to college, and there's some of them that will pay after you go to college, and some that even pay while you're in college. Okay, so in reference to this, the financial aid may come after the fact. There's an awful lot of loan forgiveness or loan repayment. A lot of the industry these days is really doing a lot for trying to get people better educated. There's a shortage of middle managers and higher level managers that are good at what they do in the industry. And so I guarantee you, if you're out there and you're doing a good job, you're going to find that your industry is likely to be trying to advance your career. As far as putting the cost up front, I represent the Army. We have an awful lot of scholarships that you can take to college, but there's a lot of other benefits from the military that are just not, they're not only ROTC. Army Reserve, Army National Guard, Naval Reserve, et cetera. There's a lot of them that put resources out there to help you pay for college. I want to put some emphasis on what's at the bottom, and I put the word free in green. There are many on-campus opportunities for you to get assistance to pay for your education, but the key element that the college is going to be looking for is for you to do the FAFSA, because the FAFSA is how they place you based on need. I was recently talking to someone, and I was a little bit surprised to find that even doing a work study on campus is based on your FAFSA result. So you end up telling the university and the government kind of where you fall in the range of how easily you can afford college. Once you've put that FAFSA in place, then you have the opportunity to see all the different things that you can qualify for. And I guarantee you that there are things you do qualify for. So, put that FAFSA together, and work study is just one example. Here are some of the largest programs: AmeriCorps, the Teach Grants, Peace Corps, National Health Service Corps. You'll notice that there are 6 services listed at the bottom: scholarships, GI Bill, et cetera. So if you know the industry you're going to go serve in, or you're exploring the industry that you want to serve in, it's worth taking the time to understand what's actually available. I will go through each of these to give you some idea of what that may actually afford you towards college, and then we're prepared to answer some questions. I certainly am not an expert on all of these. What I will tell you, though, is that you have the power of the internet. So if any of these interest you, you can start off by just going and looking in the internet, finding information. There'll also be information links that are provided by the Infinite Scholars and the virtual college fairs. But again, you can just start there, and then you can also reach out to any of us probably to get some further assistance, because there are so many niches that are fulfilled that I guarantee you can't know them all. Even when I go out there and find out, for example, what Army Medical is recruiting these days, or what the Surgeon General Corps may be offering. There's so many things, and next year there will be new ones. So AmeriCorps Education Award. This one is focusing on intensive service to meet the community needs. Notice they have a variety of different areas you can do it: education, environment, public safety, health, homeland security. So you'll sign on for AmeriCorps and be involved in a specific program, and that program will link you to certain types of funding, but also to certain types of jobs and an industry or career field. What caught my eye on this one, for example, is in the aftermath of a disaster, AmeriCorps may be hiring people to do this. Notice at the bottom, you're going to get hands-on experience, which is an additional value. I know when I talk to people who are trying to hire, what they're always talking about is they don't want someone who's just coming out of college with only the book knowledge, but anybody who's actually worked in the industry is definitely a step ahead. So notice the maximum award amount currently is $6,495 for a full year of service. But graduating from college at the age of 22 isn't necessary. So if it turns out you need to put a year into AmeriCorps in order to afford college, it's one of those you've got to do kind of a personal review and see what's going to work best for your life plan. Teach Grant. Obviously, the Teach Grant is focused on teaching. The real key is there, they have realized that sometimes it's hard to get good teachers in some of the school districts that may need them most. If you want a challenge, if you want to be teaching the students that may need your enthusiasm and your efforts, then the Teach Grant may be an ideal one for you, because you're going to end up serving for a year or 2 or 3 or 4 in order to get money to help towards your education as a teacher. And you will be working in a high need urban or rural location that definitely needs teachers. I had the opportunity to be a teacher in Hawaii, and I'll tell you what, I loved the opportunity to give back by teaching, and I learned from the students that I taught. So had this been around when I was looking for it, it's something I certainly would have considered. Peace Corps. Peace Corps is a somewhat unique opportunity because you will actually go to areas in the world, not necessarily in the United States, where you're going to be serving some of those same kinds of needs. So we send Americans abroad to meet the needs of others around the world. You get an incredible cultural exposure on top of the hands-on experience. It is focused mostly on the education and health programs, but there are other areas involved in it too: environment, youth and development, agriculture. Most of what they offer is student loan relief, but there are programs that specifically can feed into graduate school. Now, at this point in time, you may not be thinking about graduate school, but I think the farther ahead you set your sights, the more you can begin to tailor your resume and your educational experience toward what you want. One of the things that I often express when I'm talking to future cadets is one of the life skills you can pick up is a language. So if you get that language and cultural competency by doing something with the Peace Corps, for example, you will forever more understand the world and see it a little bit differently for that year that you spent somewhere. National Health Service Corps, obviously focused on the health services. Okay, it's primary healthcare services to underserved communities. So if you think back to the Teach Grant, it really is one of those where you're going to go to areas where the need is greatest. So again, if that is your call to service, if it's your opportunity to really help in an area that's needed and learn and get an insight into the world, I think the National Health Service Corps could be the answer to your questions or to your desires. Notice it's up to $50,000 in tax-free loan repayments in exchange for a 2-year service commitment. There's also the opportunity to do $120,000 in their final year of school in exchange for a commitment to serve afterwards for either 3 years full-time or 6 years part-time. There's not too many of these that offer the opportunity to serve it over part-time. So I think that's interesting because you could be, again, building your resume, getting real life experience, both in your chosen career field and the job you're pursuing, and at the same time, getting a second look at it while getting some of that repayment back. Okay. Open to students and professionals in the medical, dental, mental health, behavioral health fields. I think when we look at coming out of pandemic, you're going to obviously be able to see that there was a shortage for a lot of areas. Behavioral health is a good example. Therapists, physicians, there's a great need. And I think there's some great opportunities that are here. Military service. This is the one that I may know best. I've spent 39 years in uniform so far. But whether you're a future or current member of the military, there's all kinds of benefits for you. And it's just worth perhaps going down the street and meeting with someone and talking about the opportunities there. I have an 18-year-old son at home, and one of the things I've told him is I want him to go out and talk to every recruiter before he makes any decisions. Both Paige and I happen to represent the Reserve Officer Training Corps, ROTC. What's interesting about that is specifically the facet where you mix entering into the military with your college career. So I think it's an easy one to include in what we're talking about here, because we have scholarships. We are talking about college. We are talking about you graduating, and we are talking about entering the military afterwards. But I'll tell you that this just begins to scratch the surface. There's so many opportunities. There's student loan repayment options. The National Guard quite often pays state school tuition. If you decide to go that route, many states will offer benefits for graduate school, PhDs. A lot of the states actually will, or even universities will, specifically for veterans, will lower their tuition costs to match whatever educational assistance is available from the military. So in some cases, you may look at it and say, oh, that number of benefits, the dollar figure that I'm getting from the military may not match the cost of that school. But if you reverse that and go look at the school, you may find that the school is willing to match the money that's coming. We in the military want a well-educated force. And so I guarantee you that if you choose to go the route of the military, part-time or full-time, someone's going to be asking you to advance your education. So I am privileged to be able to partner with Infinite Scholars and bring this information along. Working your way through college. A lot of options for this. I mentioned the work-study programs, but there are other things. Okay, part-time jobs. When I was working at Palm Beach Atlantic University at one point, I listened to the admissions program director talk, and what he ended up saying was students who have a part-time job in college often actually do better in college simply because they do a better job of managing their time. What I would focus more on is look at working part-time almost as a self-made internship. If you want to teach, why not get a part-time job working in the school system? If you want to be a dentist, why not get a part-time job working at a nearby dental clinic? Or perhaps even taking a job that it seems unrelated, but if you wanted to start your own dental or run your own dental office someday, maybe you get a job, a part-time job, helping to manage a business or hire staff or something that would help you later when you decide to run your own dental business. On average, it looks like, make over $4,000 a year that you can use towards tuition. And quite often you'll find that the things that you learn in the workplace will actually make you a better student as well. I know mine was a bit unique, but I was actually teaching 9th and 11th grade history at the same time as I was going to the University of Hawaii and starting a degree in education. And it was interesting to talk about the students that were in the textbooks in my classroom versus going into the school that I was teaching in and seeing real life students. So that real life experience could be really key. And again, when you're coming out with your college degree and you've had that part-time job, many employers will look at you far more favorably because you're already proven in a field or in the field in particular they're looking for. Internships. Now, I mentioned in some ways a part-time job can be like an internship, but in this case, the internships generally focus on a summer. I've seen some shorter internships, but for the most part, you're really looking at how do you plan that into your summer. So if you look at doing a 4 or 4.5 year degree, one of the things that you may want to consider is not only planning out your classes for 8 semesters, but what do you plan to do with those summers between? Okay, vacationing is great. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you not to take your vacations. By the same token, if you look at it and say, hey, I really want to do this particular industry, notice that I'll put at the bottom there, selected internships can get you clearances such as a top secret clearance, get you certifications, other tangible benefits, may help you even find the job that you get into after college. What I found at Florida Tech, for example, is a lot of times when I'm talking to graduates, the company that they did their internship with came right back and hired them. So you could easily make 8,000 over the summer. So we talked about 4,000 you can make with a part-time job during the semester without interfering with your classes, and then 8,000 over the summer. Now, one thing I've heard on a number of occasions is to be a good student, you should spend 2 hours outside of class for every hour you spend in class. So you need to consider during the school year, you're already working full-time 36 hours. If you add anything else in student government, athletics, you may have a 40-hour job. So don't try to work a full-time job during the semester unless you really can juggle all those efforts. If you talk to your school, quite often they've got a whole list of internships in their career development center. You can get help on it. But then what I would say is also search more widely. If you wanted to do something that was related to community development, you could write to your county, you could write to your city, you could write to the state and just turn around and say, hey, I am looking for an internship that is related to X or Y or Z. And I think you will find that there's many opportunities out there. And sometimes when you call someone up, they might even say, oh, we don't have an internship for that, but we did just get a grant to hire somebody. Let me see what we can do. So I highly recommend being a little audacious and just reaching out to somebody. You might get something that didn't even exist before, but simply because you asked. Okay. Many employers also will try to get better employees by actually improving their education. Okay, somebody has to manage the franchise for McDonald's. Somebody has to become the assistant manager at Walmart. And so they want to take their employees, full-time or part-time, and help to pay for college. Okay, so in that sense, it may not be a bad idea if you're not quite sure you were ready to get into college to also look at the possibilities that you can have, even that summer before you start going to college, picking the right employer that offers those benefits. The education benefit, when it pays off, is probably one of the best places you can invest your effort and your money. So I would definitely look at that. I see that John asked, so there's 275 ROTC programs for the Army around the country. There's for the, specifically for the Army, 275, and many of them have partnership schools. There's around 600 schools. The Navy and the Air Force have less schools. There's also the service academies. So you have a number of different opportunities, hundreds of schools. Every state has a number of schools that has ROTC programs in. So when you're looking at a specific program too, and we talked about whether you know exactly what industry you're going to go into, is quite often you'll go in there and work, and while you're working, if you're doing a good job, that's kind of the start to the whole process. But if you're doing a good job, a lot of times they'll look and they would rather invest in you than hire from outside the company. So business managers may end up, in order to build a business manager, they may end up paying for you to get an accounting degree, or they may end up helping you get a business degree, or even going on to graduate education. When you're looking for the technology companies to make you better, what they may be doing is you start looking at the Microsoft certificates, a lot of the other ones. And then what you may do is with that certificate, you may be able to get the next level job that also they want you to have a degree for. So a lot of times if you walk into an industry that's investing in its people and you start talking about what your long-term plans are, then you will get more out of that. When I was down at Florida Atlantic University, they were running a novice nurse leadership conference, and I got a chance to sit in there. And what I was hearing from those novice nurses, and even a few that had gotten their graduate degrees, was that their hospital had paid for them and given them the time to go get the registered nurse or the graduate degree in nursing and so forth. And they went back and they saw an immediate rise in their pay based on that graduate degree. And in some cases, promotions into supervising other nurses. So the sky is kind of the limit. What you need to do is to at least dare audaciously to go and figure out which of the paths is going to end up taking you where you want to go, and then interact with your employer or the school or whatever to find some of these opportunities that are there. So I'm on my 15th slide, which is kind of the easiest or the hardest, and that is I'm open to any questions.
And you have just provided us with a wealth of information. Paige has been in the chat, and so I'm going to ask her to come on screen and share some of the questions and some of the comments that she put in chat too. So for the audience that was just following you and not being able to follow the chat, clearly that they'll be able to take advantage of that. So Paige, welcome. I noticed that you've been in the chat and you were really, really busy. Can you share some of the additional comments that were made in chat while Ken was doing his fantastic presentation?
Sure, I would love to. I was really just trying to highlight some of the key things that Ken was pointing out in the slide. So there are so many opportunities out there for you to serve. And I'm going to kind of just focus on the military since I'm with the University of Tampa Army ROTC. But the big thing is if you want to serve, there's many options, whether you want to enlist. And if you enlisted in the Army, you still have the option to come back to college and have it fully paid for through that option. Or you can come to an ROTC program. And just like Ken said, there's 256 programs out there with another additional 1,000 partnership schools associated with that. So if college and ROTC is an option for you, That's great. Take a look at it, apply. Don't just look at the Army. There are options with the Navy and the Air Force and the Coast Guard. So be focused. Look at what your options are. There are tons of ways for you to go to college if that's what you want to do. Some of the other things that I was highlighting is just letting you know that 70% of all officers come out of ROTC. So if you're applying for an academy, have a backup plan. Not everyone is going to get into an academy. So apply for that Army ROTC scholarship so that you have an option if you are not selected for the academy. Ken talked about part-time jobs. Well, what type of part-time jobs are out there? Well, there's a ton of part-time jobs within the Army Reserve and the National Guard. So that gives you some opportunities, and you can do those whether you're in ROTC or not, whether you're in college or not. But guess what? At the end of the time that you've served, if you serve a full 20 years, you now have a retirement, which is a lot of jobs don't have retirement opportunities these days. Internships. If you're a ROTC cadet, you have the option to apply for many different internships. And one of the big ones would be the National Security Agency or cybersecurity, because once you completed that internship, if you were selected into those positions, you would be able to get a top secret clearance, which cost the Army hundreds of thousands of dollars for you to receive that. And it's very difficult to get that in the civilian sector. So it just gives you another edge to push forward. And that's about all I've got for today. So, but I greatly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about some of the questions in the chat. Oh, let me say one more thing, FAFSA. Always apply, get that in the timelines that the universities tell you to do, and apply early to colleges, because most of the Florida colleges are deferring students. So your juniors are out there, you should be applying now for starting college next year after your senior year.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you and Ken to stay on. I'm going to, again, you know, obviously this is my favorite arena to be talking in. One of the things that when we talk about the military, we're going to talk about the Army for sure. Can you, either one of you, speak to all the different, some of the different careers that they have? Everybody in the military is not on the front line. Can you speak to some of the amazing careers that you will be able to have while you're in the military? Lawyers, doctors, can you talk to some of those?
Ken, you want to take that?
Sure, at least I'll take the first half, and then Paige, I'm sure you'll have more to add. So what I want you to envision for a moment is the Army operating somewhere, let's say even in Germany. In order to run that post or that base in Germany, you've got to have a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, a chaplain. You've got to have somebody who's helping to maintain the power system, somebody who's helping to build the gates. So you've got engineers that are building buildings and building roads. You've got people who are pushing the administrative efforts and so forth. And so ultimately, a base becomes a small city. So almost anything you can do. Now, we don't have too many rock stars, not too many guitar players. So I won't say there's everything, you know, but what I also say is an awful lot of soldiers might do that in their off hours, or they're, I don't know about somebody that are rock stars, but, you know, so in that sense, I appreciate the question, Laura, because at the end of the day, almost any job you can imagine that you want to do, there's at least a small group of people in the Army that are doing it. We have canine handlers, so you can go and be paid by the Army to work with dogs. We have veterinarian technicians because we have dogs. We have some horses. There's a few people who still ride horses in the Army, but we're also operating in the areas of the world where sometimes we're helping with their local agriculture or their local, you know, animals and so forth. What we found is the military tends to do its hardest work in areas that are already destitute, kind of like the Peace Corps, just from a different perspective. But if we can go over and we can provide health assistance, medical assistance, agricultural assistance, and so forth, in many cases, those places can take care of themselves, and whatever disaster or circumstances might have originally brought the military there become kind of less relevant. So Paige, what would you add?
I would just say the Army looks like the civilian sector. If you can do it in the civilian sector, you can do it in the Army more than likely. There are jobs, we need someone in all those different facets.
One of the other things, again, like I said, this is, one of my favorite topics to be able to talk about. And one of the things that we talk about is that when you're in ROTC and you're going, going through college, you're going to be graduating and you're going to be lieutenant, okay, whatever the area is, and you all will tell me that, okay. I think, and this is just me being, particular, that this is one of the few areas that when you graduate that you have a full-time job out there waiting for you. Can you sort of like tell people what's the starting salary of a full-time person who's leaving the military, who's leaving college, going into military as the second lieutenant, whatever it is that you're going into, what's the starting salary for that? And I know that it varies depending on what you're going in, but my mind blows at the fact that you're going to graduate and you got a job.
So I don't happen to have that number handy, but I am about to get you that number. What I will end up saying though, is I recall when I first enlisted in the Navy in 1982, when I was starting out, that was the first time in my life I had spending money in my pocket because I was living on a ship. Whenever I wanted, I could eat on the ship. But then the rest of my money was, I didn't have to pay for my electricity, so I had a place to live and a food to eat. And then the rest of my money, I got the chance to go out and spend on the economy. So what I will say is no matter what the starting number is, you're also in a position when you're first on the list. And so I'm just going to do a quick search here and come up with a number.
Okay.
I think it's anywhere from about 65 to 70. And Ken, you can validate that. I was trying to get my PowerPoint to come up, but it won't come up. But it's somewhere close to that number that your starting pay would be. And you also have to remember that you also receive a basic housing allowance and a subsistence allowance, and that is non-taxable. So your bring home for the military would be higher than if you were comparing it to a person that worked in the civilian sector.
I think that when my daughter was in the military, one of the things that I found so amazing is that when getting in the military, she had like 30 days of vacation. I had been working in the corporate arena for like 15 years by that time, and I didn't have 30 days of vacation. I was like, how is this child got more vacation than I have?
That is the best part about being in the military. I agree with you, because you do get that 30 days every year, but you can actually save up to 60 days. So that you're not going to find that anywhere. You're correct, Laura.
Okay. One of the other things too is that, and so besides the fact that you got the vacation or whatever, you've got some of the best healthcare benefits in the world. Absolutely, in the world, being part of the military. And these healthcare benefits are not only subside, are with you while you're there, but I'm looking at my daughter into retirement, with the cost of healthcare now being one of the largest things that everybody's talking about. This is a win-win situation. So if you could talk about the healthcare benefits being as part of the military and a retiree.
So of course, the goal, for us is to keep our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and now spacemen, okay, as healthy as possible. So I'd say the first and most important part of it in some respects is the preventive health. When you come in, they're going to teach you how to do physical training, but in the process, they're going to teach you nutrition, how to take care of yourself. And then they're also going to do more than annual checkups that'll be for dental, they do a hearing baseline. I mean, so it's one of those where they do a comprehensive care of what it takes to keep you healthy. Unfortunately, we do a hard job. So once in a while, people end up getting injured. The thing I've ended up hearing, for example, is let's say you need a knee surgery. Okay. Some of the best technicians in the world are the ones that are going to operate on your knee, because we want to bring you back to full capability, not to partial capability. So there's two sides to it. We're going to teach you how to stay healthy, and we're going to do our best. One of the things that, and Paige will talk about this from her time in uniform too, safety, safety, safety. In this environment, we keep saying FAFSA, 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 but in the Army, we keep saying safety, 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 because the most valuable resource that we have is that human resource, taking care of those people, keeping them mentally, physically ready to do the job. So in that sense, first thing to do is to do those things to keep them safe. But then, when somebody does end up sick, ill, hurt, whatever, we have all the resources in the world to bring them back to full health as much as possible. And when you start looking at the cost of healthcare these days, even for my family, I've got a wife and son, and I'll tell you what, it has been an absolute godsend in some cases to not have to discuss, can we afford braces? Can we afford a new pair of glasses? You know, hey, we have a concern, you know, can we afford to do that? I know that a lot of people that kind of have to try to balance their budget to figure out if they can do the medical care. But the soldier, that's not a concern for the soldier. Even sometimes, you know, and this is going farther than any of the young people on here are probably imagining, but when they get to the point where they've started a family, if they're still in the military, once in a while that special needs child comes along. And I've seen amazing care for those special needs children that goes beyond what you're going to get from most corporations or just about anywhere else. You know, so hopefully that's an answer to it. And when you start looking at the pay and the benefits, healthcare is definitely one of them. If you are in the military and you have a family and you're living off post, and then you get the chance to move somewhere, the military pays for that. You know, so in that sense, you have pretty much everything it takes to have a good quality of life. And then if you stay until retirement, you've got a retirement that most people are envious of. So that's what I would say. Paige, what would you add?
All I would say is that when you retire, the medical piece is awesome. When I talk to other people about how much they're paying, I'm in shock. You know, as a family, we pay less than $50 a year, or excuse me, a month for our retirement to go receive medical benefits. So you're not going to find a plan like that anywhere else out there. And then also you have veterans benefits, if you can go to the Veterans Administration and also receive assistance there. So there's just lots of opportunities for you and your family once you retire so that your medical is covered.
Now, I do have to say that both Paige and Dr. Dorsey are a lot younger than I am, so their concerns are a lot less than mine. So as an old guy, I absolutely value being taken care of in my health care.
Right. Well, you know, Ken, obviously I value the healthcare because even though I may like look a little bit younger because I am older, so having a daughter who is retired military, who is there, who understands the healthcare benefits of being able to take a look at that. So one more thing before John says, Laura, you just exceeding too much time. I would also like to talk about the benefits of the travel. You know, one of the things that my daughter talks about being in the military is that she's been able to travel all over the world. And luckily she likes her mama. So we've been able to travel with her. But can each one of you talk a little bit about the opportunities for travel? You talked a little bit about foreign languages and stuff like that. Tell me a little bit about the benefits of being in the military, being able to have you travel all over.
Certainly, I'll approach it from one perspective, and then I'll offer it to Paige to kind of take it from another perspective. So first, let's just talk for a moment within the ROTC program. We well understand that having people who have language and culture competencies are very important. So you have the opportunity, and outside of ROTC, I'd recommend you look at the possibility too, that study abroad programs, internships, just like we mentioned, the Peace Corps may send you overseas. You know, so that first off, that opportunity to go overseas for a summer or a semester is huge. Now, on top of that, I've known some soldiers. I've not had the pleasure of doing it myself, but you have space available on many military flights. So if you really had 3 weeks that you took off and you wanted to go over to Europe or you wanted to go down to South America, if the military goes there, you may be fortunate enough to literally get a free flight. Okay. What I've also noticed is that when I'm traveling, mostly inside the United States, but it's helped me a couple of times outside too. You know, but for example, there's a military hotel on the beach in Hawaii. Okay, it's one of the most priceless locations you could possibly be, but there's an affordable military hotel there. And it's so affordable and it's so good that you probably have to make your reservation 6 months in advance because everybody else has heard about it too. Even in Disney here in Florida, there is a military hotel that is right next to and has its own tramway onto Disney. On top of that, I've had the opportunity to live overseas in Japan for a couple of years. You know, so that was a great opportunity. I lived out in the town. I learned to pay my bills at their local 7-Eleven, you know, just the minor differences that seem so profound when you're going through them. Plus, I mean, I'll tell you, I've had the chance to go to Korea for some exercises. You know, my experiences down in Southern Command, I was certainly exposed to people who were traveling to us. So I would absolutely say if you want to get a chance to see the world, there are definitely some great opportunities that the military's got. In some cases, we even have soldiers or cadets that are training with foreign militaries. So you have an opportunity to perhaps even go over and serve with those foreign militaries in their training. Paige, what else would you add?
Ken, I think you covered it all. That was awesome. I'm ready to travel now and join the Army.
Or Paige, at least have a child in the Army that likes you, that you don't mind bringing you with her, because that's how I've been able to travel all over the world, because I have a daughter that's in the that was in the military. But thank you both so very much for this presentation. I know we covered everything, Ken. Okay, if you weren't my favorite person before, you definitely are now. We have a wealth of information that you provided to everyone. This is going to be recorded, okay? And I'm going to go back and look at it, consistently, so I can see you, and hear about all the information that you have and being able to share with everyone. So I know John is saying, Laura, let's go. So I'm going to sign up. I want the two of you to stay in for the chat or whatever, so when we get wrapped up. And I'm just going to be able to provide everybody with some additional resources that we have with the Infinite Scholars Program. So John, if you'll cue up my slides for me. Okay, so one of the things that we've talked about is that there are all kinds of resources to be able to help you, and Infinite Scholars does indeed help that. So Paige, if you take a moment for me, for John, if you can go into the chat and put the website in there, www.infinitescholar.org. That is the website for the Infinite Scholars Program. If you go into the website, you're going to see this page right here, and there's a resources tab. You see as a drop down for the resources. And the resources, there is a drop down. One of the first things that says the scholarship guide. So let's go there. It's on the scholarship guide. This is what the scholarship guide looks like. It is 40 pages of information that is just chock full of information that has to do with scholarships, because that's exactly what it's going to be. You see, it talks about graduating debt free, can you helping your way to pay for college, how to find scholarships and win them. Let me tell you a few things that are inside this scholarship guide. There's information on the federal grant program. The federal government is the largest purveyor of scholarship funds, whatever. They have billions of dollars that they give out every year for scholarships. So information about that is there too. Okay, there are some state and city tuition-free options. Tuition-free, there are actually colleges, and I think of the recent survey that I had that says 11 states have colleges where you can actually go to school for free, no tuition whatsoever. And all of those options and information about that is here in the particular scholarship guide. We just got finished talking about working your way through college. Now, Ken was a wealth of information, but if you wanted to find out some additional ones, and like he said, the internet is there. Everything that he's told you, you can go check out too. But we've got some more information in this scholarship guide that'll help you also. Paying for college through service. You have heard us had an extensive conversation on the military. And again, like I said, I speak to this one from experience, and being surrounded by a wealth of people, and now living here in the Washington, D.C. area, being able to see the benefits of people that have gone to college through service, especially in the military service, and how that has been able to benefit them and have been able to translate that into a retirement and to a very nice six-figure salary in this particular area. Micro scholarship options. This presentation was geared a lot toward juniors, and I'm hoping that there's everybody else is on here looking at it or will see the recordings. There are scholarships that you can get right now while you're in high school, and so this guide gives you information on micro scholarships. There's also some need-based and special interest scholarships. There are some students who already know exactly what college that they want to go to. They just need the additional funding, over whatever basic, things that they've got to be able to do that. So if you're just looking for a scholarship because you need, or there's like special interest, there's scholarships if you're tall, there's scholarships if you're short, there's scholarships if you collect rocks. And, obviously we know there's STEM scholarships, but there's all kinds of, there's scholarships if you're left-handed, all kinds of different scholarships out there. So a lot of special interest scholarships, information is out there for that. Some scholarships require you to write an essay to be able to make sure that you can apply for that particular scholarship. Well, obviously those are very much sought after. So there's information in the guide on how to write a winning scholarship essay, not just a scholarship essay, but a winning scholarship essay. We got all the tips that are out here to help you out with that. But the biggest thing is making sure that we avoid scholarship scams. There's always somebody who's going to prey on someone who doesn't have the knowledge that everyone else has. If anyone ever tells you that you have to pay in order for them to help you find a scholarship, not just walk away, run away from them, whatever, because there's no way that you should have to pay anybody to help you find a scholarship to get into college. There's too much information out there, as you would see with the panel that we had tonight. One of the things that's on the resources tabs too is that there are multiple colleges and universities out there. Like I said, about 100 travel with us on a regular basis. But and so I've learned that a lot of my students are visual. Okay, as a university professor, a lot of them will listen to a presentation, much like Ken just gave you, but and some of them are, auditory, they're going to listen to that, but some of them are actually visual and they actually just want to be able to see something. And so what we did is that we put together a group of videos together from colleges and universities. Now, I spent last year we spent a couple of months and we interviewed more than 100 colleges and universities, and we asked them to create videos to watch. And I asked them specifically to make sure that the videos were created about the admission and the scholarship opportunities at their schools, among other things. I also understood that it's important, like what you know is important, but sometimes who you know is equally as important. So we asked them to also provide information on how you can schedule a one-on-one session with the college rep to talk about your specific admission and scholarship opportunities that you need exactly for yourself. And so I'm going to be able to show you exactly how this works here. All right, so we put all of these videos out here on the website. Now, again, we had 100. We couldn't figure out how to put them in order, so we decided to put them in alphabetical order. And so what you see is what you have here. And we'll just start out with Alabama A&M University because it's the first thing there. So you'll see the name of the university, you'll see the logo, you'll see exactly where it's located. And then you'll see a brief paragraph about that. Under that, if you want to schedule a one-on-one contact with a person, so you can call Courtney, you can reach out to Courtney Smith, and you've got Courtney's email address up there. And Jay, I was on the Infinite Scholars website. I'd like to set up an appointment. Now, you don't have to just go through a regular 800 number. You know someone specifically at the university that you can be able to reach out to. And you can also click up under there and actually see a video that we did. Some of the videos are 3 to 5 minute promo videos. Some of them are 30-minute presentations where I asked them some in-depth information about the scholarship. So there are 100 colleges and universities on this platform. You should be able to find out information on, at least a dozen that you might want to be interested in. I also we're going to be talking this whole week about different topics. And again, like I said, a lot of my students, are different, making some, sitting for an hour for a presentation that I may think is good. And, it's like, okay, I know how students can be. And so what we did is we got a lot of videos. We put together several videos on several different topics or whatever. So you can have a brief snippet of a video. And that's what you have in this new society that we have in, with social media and things, becoming in quick, click bites. So if you go to the same website, the resources, www.infinitescholar.org, and our resources tab, it is a topic video library. So there's all kinds of topics in here. So let me tell you some of the things. Everybody has been saying FAFSA to you. Okay, so the FAFSA overview is the biggest thing. There's a short video. Again, all these are 3 to 5 minute videos that'll show you about FAFSA. Whether or not you should take the ACT or SAT test optional has become a big furor in the education industry. Christina does a great job on making sure that she gives you information on whether or not you should or should not take the ACT or SAT. There are multiple different types of federal student aid. I mean, Ken just told you today, again, over 15, 20 minutes and just highlighting all the different things. And so there's all kinds of different federal student aid. And remember, the federal government is the largest purveyor of, of scholarship money, billions of dollars. And so it's out there. And unfortunately, some of that money goes unused every year because students don't apply for it. So it's crazy. There's money out there, there's free money out there. Students don't apply for it because they don't know that it's there. There's all kinds of websites, okay, that you have. If you're looking for private scholarships, again, if you already know what school you want to go to and you're just looking for additional money, you did the top 3 websites. And we did a lot of the research for you, so you don't have to go out there and just, go a little bit crazy with it. So some of the top 3 websites that you should use to search for private scholarships are out there. Okay, there's a video that talks about college displacement, scholarship displacement, and you have to be very careful and talk to your finance people, because if you get multiple scholarships, you have to make sure that one doesn't discount the other one, and that making sure that one needs to be used at this particular time of year and one needs to be used at the other. It is exactly understanding college displacement and making sure that you work with your finance office to understand where all the scholarships that you're going to get, how they apply and where they're going. Even if you find all of this, there is a slight possibility that you may have to have some money that you borrow to be able to make sure that you cover that gap. You want to make sure that if you are going to borrow, that is borrow responsibly and that you be able to figure out how to pay it back. And besides the military, don't sleep on the fact that the community college is a wealth of information to be able to get started. I talk about the military and how much I love it, but I got started in a community college, going to community college before I transferred to a 4-year college. John's going to come on and will tell you a similar story, how you can save an amount of money, get all your lower level classes done at a community college and then transfer all of that into a 4-year university. One of the things that Infinite Scholars we do, we partner with other organizations to be able to provide you the resources that we need. One of the greatest organizations that we partner with is More College Offers. It's called that because that's what it is. It offers more college. It has more college to offer. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that you understood information about this. And so, I'm about bringing on the people who are specialties. So John Meadows, okay, is the resident expert on More College Offers. So I'm going to turn the program over to him so he can explain to you a little bit about More College Offers and how that's a resource that you can use also. John.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dorsey. It's a great program this evening, everybody. I really appreciate Ken and Paige and Laura really teeing it up really well tonight. We had a great content, and I actually kind of regret not going to the Army now, but it wasn't in my cards when I was going through college. Just wasn't too much of an option for me at that time. But anyway, just wanted to briefly cover what More College Offers is. It's a program, it's a website that we developed a few years ago because we had a lot of students that weren't able to attend our fairs, the Infinite Scholar fairs, and connect with colleges in person. So we developed this big search engine. It's a proprietary software that we developed, program that we developed specifically for More College Offers that really takes recruitment to a different level, college recruitment, particularly for colleges. They love it because basically it's sort of a reverse recruitment process. It's you basically will go on to More College Offers. You go in and register as a student and it'll send you an email to set your secure password. So it's very, very safe. You don't have to worry about your information getting compromised in any way. Then you go in and enter several data fields as far as information about yourself and what sort of degree you want to pursue in college. And you can always change information. So if you move, just make sure that your profile is updated. It's really up to you to keep it as current as possible, because colleges are really wanting current information on you, because it's really designed to put you out in front of our network of over 500 colleges. And you can see the colleges that are in the network on more college offers. There's a directory and they're all alphabetized by state as far as the colleges in various states. So you can see the caliber of colleges that we have that participate in more college offers. And it really, again, you put your information out there on the site. Again, it's private. Nobody can see it except for the colleges whenever they're searching for the type of student that they're looking for in the areas that they're looking for. So there's about 21 points of information that the colleges can search, and they'll search the information. And then if they find, the students that they're looking for, then they can reach out to you through their normal communication channels. So again, I encourage you and tell your friends and your family. It's great for younger people to get in because colleges are looking earlier in the pipeline for talent and qualified students. They're looking all the way down into the high school ranks, trying to get an idea of what's coming up through the high school ranks. And this really gives them an opportunity to identify the type of students that they're looking for earlier and start recruiting earlier. So it's getting very competitive at colleges these days. Enrollment's down, attendance is down in a lot of colleges, so they're getting very aggressive, and they actually are. A lot of them are offering more scholarships, so that's a great opportunity for you, and particularly for using technology like this. It's still important you get out and meet the representatives one-on-one, but this is a great way to make initial connections and introduce yourself to the colleges. Again, you'll be exposed to a lot of colleges you probably haven't heard of or even considered until maybe you saw something that they offered that you might be interested in. What our previous speakers talked about, really need to have 3 to 8 colleges and versus just one. You need some fallback and some options. So try to get 3 to 8 offers from various colleges, and have those to consider and evaluate, and some people even negotiate with them. So it really depends on what your options are at the time that you're ready to make that big decision. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the program, and let me go ahead and talk about some upcoming programs that we have. This is a week-long series of programs focusing on scholarship prep. Okay, we call it Scholarship Prep Week, and we've had 2 programs already. This is the 3rd in the series. We are recording them, and we'll be posting them on not only Infinite Scholar site, but also the Virtual Scholarship Fairs website whenever they're edited and ready to post. So make sure that we'll notify you when they're ready if you want to watch some of the videos that you maybe missed. But we do have some upcoming programs. We really hope you come back and watch them. Thursday evening, same time, 7 o'clock Central. The topic's going to be on test scores and do they matter? And it's definitely an important one, particularly, if you need, have thought about not taking your test, might reconsider it when it comes to scholarships. So really important. And if you're not happy with the scores you've had, then there's some ways that we can help you improve it through some of the resources that we have. And again, you can take the test more than once, so keep that in mind, particularly over the summer. Friday is how to write a winning scholarship essay. That's very important. We were talking to the Vice Provost, Jay Goff, over at George Washington University. It's a high caliber university. He was a presenter on Monday, and he said they have three people that actually review each essay, and they evaluate the essays as a primary way to qualify students for not only writing skills, but what's their life story and what really add value and be a real attribute to the community, the college community life there on campus. So that's a big thing, is if you can tell your story. Saturday is how to avoid scholarship scams and watch out for scholarship displacement. Again, Dr. Dorsey touched on that a little bit. Sunday, save thousands by starting we're taking some classes through a community college. Like Dr. Dorsey said, she went to community college, so did I, and it's a great thing. It's stayed at home, was able to work and go to college, and went to a 4-year and then graduated debt free. So it was a really good program for me and my family. So anyway, I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Dorsey, and you can kind of close it out for me. And again, thank you to Ken and Paige for your assistance this evening. It's really enjoyed seeing everybody, and again, it's been a couple of years since we had a chance to chat. So thank you very much, everybody. And Dr. Dorsey, it's yours.
All right. Thank you all so much, everyone. Tonight was like a specific night to me. I love every single one of these. This is why I'm your co-host every evening. I'm like the comedians, like I'm here all week with the information that we have here. But again, I want to say thank you so much to Paige. Paige and Ken, thank you again so much for providing a wealth of information. Thank you for being willing to have a conversation with me and provide additional information outside the presentation. You know, John also always brings, he's my tech person behind. I can just sit here, I'm just a pretty face. John and Steve on the back end make this all work out. So again, thank you all. We are done with our allotted time, but we'll see you here tomorrow at the same time, the same place. And if you missed anything about the presentation today, which was awesome, by the way, Steve is going to make sure that we post this all to the website and that we'll have it. You have any questions, you know how to reach out to us. So thank you all, everyone. And again, good night. And we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.